Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I thought we're gonna do a little weird. It's not weird, but this video is about 25 absurd random history facts, right? So it's not just like normal history facts that you probably would know or have some kind of comprehension of what it is. This is absurd random facts. I don't know what that means, but this is from the channel Decades, I think it is. Alright, original videos down below. Let's see.
This is Earth. Earth is where we live. And it's totally bonkers. And it's hard to imagine all these serious historical events taking place on the same planet where we open Twitter to have vapid, meaningless arguments with people we'll never meet. And
That's true.
share memes with no context whatsoever that shouldn't be funny. However, the world didn't turn daft overnight. In fact, in some cases, it's always been that way. And so, this new channel we're trying to get up and running, I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to start off with 25 absurd random history facts, ranging from the
pretty interesting,
to the outright hilarious. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, and remember, it goes a long way in helping us achieve world domination. And without further ado, let's begin.
That's threatening.
Napoleon Bonaparte's most humiliating moment would arguably take place in July of 1807, where the famous Conrad was attacked by a horde of rabbits during a rabbit hunt he arranged for him and his men. Once released from their cages, the rabbits simply charged at Napoleon and his men, and thus the hunter became the hunted, and what I wouldn't give to witness that.
Whoa, that's pretty... what? That's pretty wild. I mean, I have another one that's not the exact same, but I think President Eisenhower, or General Eisenhower, both, but you know, I think he was, I don't know if it was attacked, but there was a lot of squirrels on the lawn. There still is a lot of squirrels on the lawn at the White House, and he used to play golf a lot there, and I don't know if he got attacked or the squirrels like took his golf ball or something, and he was so angry that he said, I think, to one of the Secret Service guys to shoot them if he sees one, right? Pretty extreme, but you know. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Was Napoleon going to cook the rabbits? What is the context there? I guess we don't know.
Napoleon lived until 1821, I think it's fair to say that the rabbits didn't succeed in killing Napoleon. However, the humiliation it likely caused him was good enough.
Yeah, it's true.
In France, during the year 1386, a pig was arrested, imprisoned, tried in a court, and executed for murdering a child. Though not unique for an animal to be put on trial in the Middle Ages, it is still a silly thought.
That shows you, though. That shows you one thing, though. That it shows you that if a pig ate a baby, it's tried and executed. But you know, if a monarch did that, or a aristocrat did that, or a higher up did that, I don't think they would get executed. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. But I mean, that shows you also that they took that so seriously. Did they, though? Or was that like showing, oh, we have so much power that we're going to try, found the pig guilty, and then execute it? That's how little we think of you peasants. You can look at it that way, or you could just look at, oh, the pig ate it, oh, we need to make a trial or whatever, and then execute it. It will be fun for the peasants. I don't know. Weird, but okay.
On the 27th of August 1896, the Anglo-Zanzibar War broke out between Britain and Zanzibar. It ended 38 minutes later, with one British sailor wounded, and on Zanzibar's part, roughly 500 were either wounded or killed, including military and civilian alike. This is considered to be the shortest war in history, and it didn't last as long as half a football match.
Nope. That's very interesting. Have nothing to say for that.
Andrew Jackson's funeral in 1845.
Oh yeah, I heard this one.
His pet African grey parrot had to be removed because it was swearing
loudly, how cool it is,
often disturbing other attendees. And here we mourn the loss of the President of the United States.
Imagine being at that funeral, the character of Andrew Jackson, and then his pet parrot is there and just swearing at the funeral, like he just visualized for us, right? That's something though Andrew Jackson would have laughed at if he was at a funeral of an old friend and his friend's parrot did that. That would be something he would like, right? It's not out of character.
Following the death of Israel's first president in November of 1952,
the
presidency was offered to Albert Einstein, who declined,
pretty cool,
citing he didn't have the natural aptitude to properly deal with people. Albert Einstein
wasn't
even from Israel, but declined the presidency on the basis of being an introvert.
I mean, that's fair enough. I don't know. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, sure. Smart answer from him, right?
Rome's infamous tyrant Caligula once threatened to make one of his favourite horses a senator, citing it would do a better job than human senators. He was assassinated before he could do this, and rumour has it he had every intent in doing so. Unfortunately,
he's gonna say something there, but I don't think he intended to do that. I think he was intended to show the absurdity of anyone could be a senator, even a horse, right? This is pretty funny because this contrasts with the pig. It means you peasants can be tried, found guilty, and then executed of something, but not the upper class. It's sort of the similar thing, but not the same outcome. But he's showing here, Caligula, right? That anyone can be senator, even a horse. That's how corrupt this is, right?
Fortunately, in the end, he didn't really get the chance to.
He would probably do it, but still, to show something.
In the year 1820, the town of Salem, Massachusetts, notorious for its witch trials, held a trial to determine whether or not tomatoes were poisonous. The trial was settled when Colonel Robert Gibbon Johnson ate a whole basket of tomatoes without dying or falling ill. Clearly, they...
I mean, it's... In Salem, Massachusetts, I don't know what it was in the water. Probably something in the water that they drank or food that they ate. I don't know what it was. But all of them were very superstitious. I don't know why. Maybe it's from the background where they came from. They were fleeing, or their ancestors, and probably some of them fleeing from persecution. But I don't know. But I mean, it makes sense that you see a vegetable, or I don't know, tomato is a vegetable or fruit, but whatever. Let's not have that debate, but you know. I mean, you can look at a tomato and see, oh, it's probably poisonous. I don't know. How do you determine that? So he ate a basket of it, and that's fair enough.
They were a superstitious bunch, though a trial against tomatoes in the 19th century is definitely far better than what they were doing at the end of the 17th century. The fear of the tomato, which sounds ridiculous to say, wasn't however confined to Salem. I just think it's ironic that it was a town notorious for its witch trials that put this superstition to bed. King Henry VIII had grooms of the stool, and their job was to wipe his backside after a bowel movement. All 4 individuals who served in this position under Henry's reign were knighted. So he literally knighted 4 blokes for wiping his backside. And
and they had a lot of... It was a very prestigious job to do, because you had alone time with the king. You could sway him, you could give him advice or something, and then you can get something in return, right? That's pretty amazing. But then I think I don't know if he got rid of it or he like executed one of them or something, right? And then they got scared, something like that. I don't know.
Also think it's funny that by mathematics they stuck around longer than his wives did.
Yep.
In the 13th century, Pope Gregory IX declared cats to be associated with devil worship and had as many exterminated as possible. Many believe this led to the increased transmission for the bubonic plague due to the increase in rat infestations. However, of late, it's been acknowledged that the plague spread simply far too quickly for rats to be the only culprit. Dick move from Gregory banning cats though, because cats are cool.
I mean, it makes sense that killing all the cats, that's pretty weird, but killing all the cats would make the bubonic plague faster to spread, but then he said that it didn't actually do that, but it had some effect. It probably increased it by I don't know how many fold, but it increased the likelihood of it, right? More rats, right? I mean, what do you think would happen if you introduce a lot of just stray cats in New York City? What would happen with the rat population? And is it good to exterminate all rats? Probably not. Is it good to exterminate all cats? Probably not. You know, that was a very interesting one.
In ancient Asia and up until the 19th century, a popular method of execution was death by elephant. Elephants could be taught to inflict painful and horrific slow deaths, or simply execute people using large blades fitted to their tusks. I'm sure it made sense culturally, it just seems a bit random to me.
Does it make sense culturally? I guess it does. I mean, you're getting killed by an animal that's pretty large, that's okay. Yeah, but I mean, would you rather be killed by a war elephant in the Roman army against the Carthaginians, or a normal elephant with blades? I mean, I thought it would like stampede you, but wow.
The Volkswagen Beetle was commissioned by none other than Adolf Hitler, intended to be a practical and affordable car that the working class could afford.
One thing though about the Volkswagen Beetle, a fun fact, I don't know if it's 100% true, but engineers, I don't know when they looked at this, but engineers looked at the Volkswagen Beetle and they saw that the Germans thought of the Volkswagen Beetle of a weapon of war, because if you cut the roof off, you can mount a machine gun on the Volkswagen Beetle and use it as a moving machine gun, right? Like, right? It's not an armored vehicle, but it's like, I think the Danes, when they fought the Germans, I think some of them had a machine gun on a bike, right? Obviously, the Germans had it on motorcycles, right? In a separate cage beside it, right? But it was a big machine gun that it could have been fitted on the Volkswagen Beetle. I don't know how true that is, but, you know.
The year 46 BCE was 445 days long by imperial decree due to Julius Caesar implementing 2 extra leap months to bring the calendar in step with the seasons. The basis of the calendar afterwards was the 365-day and 6-hour format that we know today.
I mean, it makes sense that at least 1 year have to be different than all other years, because you have to put the thing in place, right? Because did he put... I mean, yeah, exactly. It depends on when he put it in place. This makes sense. That makes sense.
Cuban dictator Fidel Castro was targeted in over 600 plots to kill him, and the methods of some of these attempted assassinations were equally as Hitman-level absurd as the number of attempts on his life. From a poisoned diving suit to an exploding cigar, Castro of course survived and lived until 2016, where he passed away aged 90 years. During Prohibition, the US government began to poison alcohol. When the law banning booze was passed, many continued to drink alcohol, and thus the law officials were frustrated and naturally responded by poisoning industrial alcohols otherwise regularly stolen by bootleggers and converted into drinking alcohol, and those who would consume the poisoned beverages would die. This roughly resulted in the deaths of at least 10,000 people by the end of Prohibition in 1933.
But I mean, alcohol is already poisonous to you, so... But how funny that the government bans you from something and then kills you for taking the banned thing. Very government of you. Yay.
A bit extreme, to be honest. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was a 29-year-old
Oh yeah,
naval
this guy.
engineer on a business trip to Hiroshima on the 6th of August 1945, surviving the atomic bomb's blast despite being only 2 miles away from ground zero. On the 7th,
Yep.
he boarded a train home to Nagasaki, where 2 days later, the other atomic bomb fell on the city. He survived.
And he survived.
Rumour has it he was discussing what he'd seen in Hiroshima with his colleagues when the second bomb fell, interrupting the conversation. Regardless,
Wow.
it's hard to tell if he was a lucky man or an unlucky one, though he lived a long life and only passed away
Both.
aged 93 in 2010.
Superpowers. 2
Carbon
bombs.
dated
Wow.
to between 1404 and 1438, the Voynich manuscript still baffles scientists and historians alike. Written
Okay.
in unidentified language, it's unclear if this was intended as a code or plain gibberish deliberately to fuck with historians. If that is the case, the effort is through the roof, being
Yeah,
240
that's pretty
pages
funny.
long, with peculiar foldouts and some pages suspected to be missing on top.
What?
Many illustrations of plants and animals in the book also cannot really be identified, and I'm sure you'll find no shortage of theories about its purpose.
Yeah. Pretty weird, okay.
If you want a mad tilt perspective, less time has passed between Cleopatra's reign
Oh, yeah.
in ancient Egypt and the invention of the smartphone than between her reign and the pyramids themselves being built.
Yep. Pretty famous example of that. Yep.
American President Lyndon B. Johnson would continue his interview whilst on the toilet. He'd have
Oh, yeah.
reporters and aides follow him into the bathroom in order to continue his meeting or interview whilst exposing his presidential genitals to take care of some plumbing. I'm sure that was
Yep.
an awkward experience for everybody but him.
Yeah. I think he was that kind of a
In
man.
1985, oceanography professor Robert Ballard embarked on a mission to search for the RMS Titanic, which sank
Okay.
in 1912. That was the
Yep.
public story, however it was actually a front for searching for nuclear submarines lost in the 1960s as part of a secret mission. However, due to finding said submarines earlier than expected, Ballard's team did actually search for and find the wreckage of the RMS Titanic on the 1st
Look
of
at that.
September.
Look at that. Oh yeah, no. The government tells you what they're doing and then they're doing it. Yeah. Wow. No, we're gonna look at after the Titanic. Yeah, because, you know, it's so interesting to look at it again. Yeah, it's so cool to have a new picture of it. Wow. Wow. That's so cool. Oh no, we're actually looking for nuclear submarines that were lost. Sure. Why hide what you're doing?
When forks were introduced to Italy in the 11th century, religious leaders referred to them as blasphemous, as eating with artificial hands offended the Lord. And if that's all it takes to offend God, I wonder what he thinks of Twitter. There's no evidence.
I mean, I don't know if that's true, but was it forks? It might be in forks. I mean, technically it makes sense.
The church as a whole banned the usage of forks. However, individual Roman Catholic leaders on occasion expressed a dislike for it. And what a ridiculous thing to get het up about.
But it makes sense. Makes sense.
I have another fun Hitler fact for you. According to medical records, Adolf Hitler took up to roughly 30 different drugs regularly at one point or another to contain his incessant and uncontrollable farting problem. I'd insert a gas joke here, but it'd be inappropriate.
Farting problem. Okay, I never heard that, but he took drugs, you know. This is the unknown world of what historians actually never talks about. Historians never talk about drugs. Historians never talk about something that we do today as a human species back then. Meaning, in World War II, almost all sides of the military used drugs for their soldiers to be awake and attack. The Brits experimented with drugs after World War II with their special forces and whatnot. But all they did, I don't know what drug it was, but all they did was make the soldiers like laugh and be like, not crazy, but they were just, you know, calm. And I think same in World War I, they used drugs for them to be awake. Of course they used alcohol, and that's famous, but historians never talk about drugs. I don't know why. And then after World War II, a lot of illegal experiments on their own citizens was made by like the MI6, CIA, KGB, all of them, right? Sad but true.
Between the years 1898 and 1910, heroin was distributed as a cough
Yeah.
medicine. Side effects include scratching for more, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
During the
I mean, another crazy one that people consumed. I don't know how many. I don't know when it was. But mummy, what is it? Dust or whatever, right? Mummy remains. So they were basically cannibals, but the body had been dead for so long, so it's not a person anymore, right? Like, it's still cannibalism, but I think it was either British tourists or whatever that bought a flask when they were, I think it were in Egypt. I don't know when it was, late 19th century, maybe. I think it was. They bought flask of mummy remains, which is human remains, which is cannibalism, but you know. And they bought that in a flask and you ate it to, I don't know. To me, that sounds what cannibals justify being cannibals, that are eating other person to gain their spirit to live longer and be stronger. Same like the Native Americans thought, and sort of the Vikings, but of animals, not humans, right? A Viking thought, oh, eat a bear or fight a bear and you'll become as strong as a bear, right? And Native Americans hunted buffalo and all that to get their spirits to get stronger and to live longer, sort of, right? But that's not other humans. You can search it up. A glass bottle of mummy remains, late 19th century. Search that up.
In the 1930s, Australia technically went to war with emus. On one occasion, the Australian army found 1,000 emus grouped together and attempted to kill them. The emus won the war in the end. The unsuccessful attempt to kill the population of emus in Australia has been remembered as the Great Emu War.
Yep.
In 1866, Liechtenstein sent out an army of 80 soldiers to participate in the Austro-Prussian War.
Oh yeah.
None of the soldiers were killed, and 81 came back.
Exactly.
They made a friend. The country
they made an Italian friend
2 years later and has remained neutral ever since. And I think that's for the best because they're clearly too powerful.
Yep.
In Strasbourg, in the Holy Roman Empire in the year 1518, many locals began to dance uncontrollably for days on end. Until
mass hysteria.
This dancing mania lasted 2 months and isn't the only recorded instance of this occurring.
Alright. That was cool facts, right? They were very absurd. Some of them were absurd. A lot of them were random, right? The mass hysteria one. I mean, 2 months of dancing. I mean, after what? A day you would be tired. How do you eat? And yeah, that's a pretty weird one, right? But alright, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.